Marriage is a bond built on trust, love, and communication. At least, that's what I believed when I married Sarah 10 years ago. She was my everything, my best friend, my partner, and the mother of our two children, Oliver and Emma. Life wasn't perfect, but it was ours. That's why I was blindsided when Sarah approached me one evening with a proposal that would turn our lives upside down. The start of the spiral. It was a typical Friday night. The kids were in bed and Sarah and I were relaxing in the living room. Out of nowhere, she said, "I've been thinking maybe we should try something new in our relationship. To keep things exciting." I was intrigued but also wary. "What do you mean?" I asked, genuinely curious but cautious. She hesitated for a moment before blurting out, "An open relationship." The words hung in the air like a thundercloud. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. An open relationship? I repeated, trying to process what she was suggesting. "Yes," she said quickly, as if saying it fast would make it less shocking. "I think it could help us grow individually and as a couple. We'd still love each other, but we'd have the freedom to explore other connections, a hidden agenda." At first, I dismissed the idea outright. "Why would we need that? Are you unhappy with us?" Sarah assured me it wasn't about unhappiness. "It's not about you or us," she insisted. "It's about exploring new experiences. It could be good for both of us." Her words sounded rehearsed, almost too polished, but I was blindsided by the request and couldn't see what was really happening. Sarah wasn't asking for an open relationship to explore. She was asking for it to justify something she was already doing. Reluctantly agreeing. After weeks of arguments, debates, and Sarah accusing me of being closed-minded, I reluctantly agreed. I didn't want to lose her, and I convinced myself that maybe this was just a phase. We set ground rules, honesty above all, no emotional attachments, and always putting our marriage first. Sarah seemed thrilled, but I couldn't shake the nagging feeling that something was off. The truth comes out. Within a month, Sarah was already dating. She claimed to have met someone at her yoga class, a man named Ryan. She talked about him more than I was comfortable with, but I tried to play it cool. After all, I had agreed to this, hadn't I? But as the weeks went by, Sarah started spending more time with Ryan than she did with me or the kids. She'd come home late, texting constantly, and acting like a giddy teenager. One night, while she was in the shower, her phone buzzed on the counter. I glanced at the screen and saw a message from Ryan. "Last night was incredible. Can't wait to see you again." My stomach dropped. This wasn't just exploring or a casual fling. She was emotionally invested. Confrontation. When I confronted Sarah, she didn't even try to deny it. "Of course I care about him," she said defiantly. "That's the point of an open relationship, to form new connections. This isn't what we agreed to." I shot back. "You're supposed to be honest with me, but you've been sneaking around and lying by omission." She rolled her eyes. "You're just jealous because you haven't found anyone yet. Maybe if you put yourself out there, you'd understand." Her words stung, but they also revealed the truth. This wasn't about us growing together. It was about her justifying her affair. The breaking point. Things escalated quickly after that. Sarah became more distant, and I started noticing other cracks in her story. She wasn't just seeing Ryan. She'd been involved with him long before she proposed the open relationship. I hired a private investigator to confirm my suspicions. The evidence was damning. Sarah and Ryan had been seeing each other for over a year. The open relationship was just a cover for her infidelity. When I confronted her with the evidence, she broke down. "I didn't know how to tell you," she sobbed. "I didn't want to hurt you." "Didn't want to hurt me?" I yelled. "You've been lying to me for over a year, and you think an open relationship would somehow make this okay?" The kids get involved. What broke me the most was how this affected our children. Oliver, our 8-year-old, started asking why Mommy was always gone. Emma, just 5, cried when Sarah missed her dance recital to work late. I couldn't keep lying to them. One evening after Sarah left for another yoga retreat, I sat down with the kids and told them that Mommy and Daddy were going through some changes. I didn't want to poison their view of her, but they deserved to know something was wrong. The fallout. I filed for divorce shortly after. Sarah was furious, accusing me of giving up on our marriage. We could have made it work. she said bitterly. You just weren't open-minded enough. But her regret came too late. The damage was done. She had used our marriage as a shield for her betrayal, and I couldn't unsee the selfishness in her actions. Ryan, he disappeared soon after the divorce proceedings began. It turned out he wasn't interested in being a stepdad or dealing with the mess Sarah had created. The aftermath, the divorce was brutal, but I came out of it stronger. I gained full custody of Oliver and Emma, and Sarah was granted visitation rights. Over time, the kids started to see through her facade. They resented her absence and her broken promises, and their once close bond with her began to fade. As for Sarah, she admitted later that she regretted everything. I thought I wanted freedom, she told me during one of our final conversations. But all I did was destroy the one thing that mattered most, our family. I didn't respond. Her regret meant nothing to me anymore. Moving forward, now, years later, I've rebuilt my life. I'm in a new, loving relationship with someone who values honesty and commitment. My kids are thriving, though they still carry scars from what happened. Sarah, on the other hand, is alone. She's tried to repair her relationship with the kids, but they keep her at arm's length. Her once bright future is now clouded by the choices she made and the trust she destroyed. Lessons learned: marriage isn't perfect, but it requires honesty, respect, and a willingness to work through challenges together. Sarah's betrayal taught me the importance of standing up for myself and my values. Sometimes people don't realize the value of what they have until they've lost it. By the time Sarah understood what she had thrown away, it was too late.
Marriage is built on trust, a bond that, once broken, can leave wounds too deep to heal. For 14 years, I thought my marriage to Emily was built on love, trust, and partnership. She was the mother of my children, my best friend, and my anchor in life. But behind her warm smile and loving words was a secret so cruel, it shattered the foundation of everything I believed in. The perfect life. Emily and I met in college, and from the moment we locked eyes, it felt like fate. She was everything I had ever wanted: intelligent, kind, and beautiful. After dating for 3 years, we got married in a small, intimate ceremony surrounded by family and friends. Soon after, our family grew. We welcomed our son, Ethan, and 3 years later, our daughter, Chloe. They were the light of my life, and Emily and I worked as a team to give them the best life possible. From the outside, we looked like the picture-perfect family. But the cracks started to show when Emily began pulling away. The distance. About a year ago, Emily started acting differently. She became more secretive about her phone, spent long hours out of the house, and grew distant in our relationship. When I asked her if something was wrong, she brushed it off, blaming stress from work or exhaustion from parenting. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to trust her. But the late-night texts she tried to hide and her sudden disinterest in intimacy made my gut churn with suspicion. One night, I confronted her directly. "Emily, is there someone else?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. She laughed it off, calling me paranoid. "I can't believe you'd even think that," she said. "You know I love you." I felt guilty for doubting her. But deep down, I knew something was wrong. The truth uncovered. My suspicions continued to grow, and I couldn't shake the feeling that Emily was hiding something. One weekend, while she was out running errands, I decided to take a look at her computer. What I found sent my world crashing down. There were emails and messages between Emily and a man named Mark, a coworker of hers. The messages were explicit, emotional, and undeniable evidence of an ongoing affair. They talked about stolen weekends together, how much they missed each other, and even how they joked about keeping their secret safe from me. I sat there, staring at the screen, feeling like the air had been sucked out of the room. The confrontation. That night, I waited for Emily to come home. When she walked through the door, I was sitting at the dining table with her laptop open. "Who's Mark?" I asked, my voice cold. Her face went pale. For a moment, she tried to deny it, but when I showed her the messages, she broke down. "It wasn't supposed to mean anything," she sobbed. "It just happened. I didn't want to hurt you." Her words felt like daggers. "You didn't want to hurt me?" I snapped. "Do you even understand what you've done?" You've destroyed our family. The betrayal runs deeper. As if the affair wasn't devastating enough, the truth didn't end there. In the days that followed, as I tried to make sense of what had happened, Emily's sister, Laura, called me. She was in tears, apologizing for what she was about to tell me. Apparently, Emily's affair with Mark wasn't new. It had started years ago, around the time Chloe was born. Laura had known about it but had kept quiet, pressured by Emily to protect the family. I was furious. Not only had Emily betrayed me, but her family had stood behind the lie, enabling her deception. They had smiled in my face, attended our family dinners, and played with our kids, all while knowing the truth. The final blow came when I realized the full extent of the betrayal. A part of me began to wonder if Chloe, our youngest, was even mine. The DNA test. The thought haunted me. I couldn't ignore it, no matter how much I wanted to believe that Chloe was my daughter. I ordered a DNA test in secret, swabbing my cheek and Chloe's when she wasn't paying attention. The results confirmed my worst fear. I wasn't Chloe's biological father. When I confronted Emily with the results, she broke down again, begging for forgiveness. She claimed she hadn't been sure either but didn't want to destroy our family by telling me the truth. You were always her dad, she pleaded. She doesn't know any different. But how could I continue to be a father to a child whose very existence was a reminder of my wife's betrayal? The kids find out. The hardest part of all was how this affected Ethan and Chloe. Ethan overheard one of our arguments and demanded to know what was going on. Emily and I sat him down, and I told him the truth. Not just about the affair but about Chloe's paternity. Ethan was devastated. He idolized his little sister, and learning that she wasn't fully his sibling rocked his world. He became angry, withdrawn, and resentful toward Emily. Chloe, on the other hand, was too young to fully understand what was happening. But she could sense the tension in the house, and it broke my heart to see her so confused and hurt. The divorce. I filed for divorce shortly after the DNA results came back. I couldn't stay in a marriage built on lies, and I couldn't forgive Emily for what she had done, not just to me, but to our family. Emily's family, who had stood behind her lies for years, tried to convince me to stay. They argued that Chloe deserved a father, that I shouldn't punish her for Emily's mistakes. But I couldn't do it. The betrayal was too deep. Starting over. The divorce was messy. I fought for full custody of Ethan, while Emily retained custody of Chloe. I still see Chloe occasionally, but the bond we once had has been irreparably damaged. I love her, but it's complicated. As for Emily, she's tried to make amends, but I've kept my distance. She claims she regrets everything, but her regret doesn't erase the pain she caused. Ethan and I are slowly rebuilding our lives. It hasn't been easy, but we're stronger for it. I've learned the hard way that trust is fragile, and once it's broken, it's almost impossible to repair. The lesson. Love can be stolen, but the truth always finds a way to come out. Emily's lies tore our family apart, but they also taught me to value honesty above all else. I don't know if I'll ever be able to fully
In
heal.
the intricate web of human relationships, few events are as emotionally charged and devastating as infidelity. It is a subject that has been explored in literature, psychology, and sociology for centuries, often revealing the complex interplay of emotions, ethics, and societal expectations. Among these narratives, the story of a cheating wife often serves as a poignant case study, highlighting the turbulent clash between reason and love in the face of betrayal. At its core, infidelity is not merely an act of physical or emotional unfaithfulness. It represents a breach of trust, a violation of the implicit or explicit agreements that form the foundation of a committed relationship. When this betrayal occurs within the confines of marriage, the implications can be particularly profound, touching not only the individuals involved, but also their families, communities, and even their sense of self. The motivations behind infidelity are as varied as the individuals who commit it. In some cases, it may stem from dissatisfaction within the marriage, whether emotional, physical, or intellectual. For others, it could be driven by external factors such as stress, loneliness, or unresolved personal issues. Yet regardless of the reasons, the act itself often plunges all parties involved into a merciless whirlpool of conflicting emotions: love, anger, guilt, confusion, and despair. For the wife who cheats, the decision to engage in an affair is rarely made lightly. It may be preceded by months or even years of inner turmoil as she grapples with feelings of neglect, unfulfilled desires, or a yearning for connection. In some instances, the affair may offer a temporary escape from these struggles, a fleeting sense of validation or excitement. However, this escape often comes at a high cost. The weight of secrecy and deception can take an emotional toll, leading to feelings of shame and self-doubt. On the other side of the equation is the betrayed spouse. For many husbands who discover their partner's infidelity, the revelation can be akin to an emotional earthquake, shattering their sense of security, identity, and trust. The immediate aftermath is often marked by intense pain and confusion as they attempt to process what has happened and why. Some may seek answers or closure through open communication with their partner, while others may withdraw or lash out in anger. In navigating this tumultuous landscape, both parties are faced with difficult decisions. Should they attempt to repair the marriage or part ways? Is forgiveness possible, and if so, what does it look like? These questions are deeply personal and depend on a multitude of factors, such as the nature of the affair, the level of commitment to the relationship, and each individual's capacity for healing and growth. From a psychological perspective, addressing infidelity requires a nuanced approach that takes into account both individual and relational dynamics. Couples therapy can provide a structured environment for exploring these issues, offering tools for rebuilding trust and fostering healthier communication. For some couples, this process may lead to reconciliation and a stronger bond. For others, it may clarify that separation is the healthiest path forward. It is also important to consider the societal context in which these events unfold. Cultural attitudes toward marriage, gender roles, and fidelity can significantly influence how infidelity is perceived and addressed. In some cultures, a cheating wife may face harsher judgment or stigma compared to her male counterpart, a double standard that reflects broader patterns of inequality. Understanding these dynamics is crucial for fostering empathy and promoting constructive dialogue about relationships. Ultimately, stories of infidelity serve as a reminder of the complexities inherent in human connections. They challenge us to confront difficult truths about ourselves and our relationships, while also offering opportunities for growth and transformation. Whether through reconciliation or separation, the journey through this merciless whirlpool can lead to greater self-awareness and a deeper understanding of what it means to love and be loved. In conclusion, the tale of a cheating wife is not merely a story of betrayal. It is a reflection of the fragile yet resilient nature of human relationships. By approaching such narratives with compassion and an open mind, we can begin to untangle the threads of reason and love that bind us together in this intricate dance of life.
When betrayal backfires, a story of justice and resilience. Betrayal is one of the most painful experiences a person can endure, especially when it comes from someone you deeply trust. Relationships are built on mutual respect, loyalty, and love, but when one partner chooses deceit over honesty, the consequences can be devastating. This is a story about how I faced betrayal, overcame it, and ensured that justice prevailed in the end. 4 years, my wife and I had what seemed to be a stable marriage. We had built a life together, shared dreams, and supported each other through various challenges. At least, that's what I thought. Little did I know, my wife had been living a double life, one that would eventually unravel in the most shocking way. It started subtly. She became distant, her phone was suddenly off limits, and her excuses for late nights at work became more frequent. I tried to brush off my suspicions, convincing myself that I was overthinking. After all, trust is the foundation of any marriage, and I wanted to believe in her. However, the signs were too glaring to ignore. One day, I stumbled upon a series of messages on her phone that confirmed my worst fears. She was having an affair. The betrayal cut deep, but what followed was even more appalling. Instead of owning up to her actions, she devised a plan to shift the blame onto me. My wife attempted to set me up by fabricating evidence of an affair on my part. She created fake messages and emails, hoping to paint me as the unfaithful one in our relationship. Her goal was clear: to tarnish my reputation and gain leverage in what she anticipated would be a contentious divorce. At first, I was stunned by her audacity. The idea that someone I had loved and trusted could go to such lengths to destroy me was almost too much to bear. But instead of succumbing to despair, I decided to fight back, with integrity and determination. I began by gathering evidence of her affair. With the help of a private investigator, I was able to obtain proof of her infidelity. This included photographs, messages, and even witness testimonies from mutual acquaintances who were aware of her actions. I also documented her attempts to frame me, ensuring that I had a clear record of her deceit. Throughout this process, I remained composed and professional. It would have been easy to let anger consume me, but I knew that staying level-headed was crucial. My goal was not revenge but justice. I wanted the truth to come to light and to protect myself from the damage she was trying to inflict. When the time came for legal proceedings, I presented my case with the support of my attorney. The evidence spoke for itself. Not only did it expose her infidelity, but it also revealed her malicious intent to frame me. The court saw through her lies, and the outcome was in my favor. In the end, my wife's actions backfired spectacularly. Her attempts to ruin me only highlighted her own dishonesty and lack of integrity. The divorce settlement reflected this reality, and I was able to move forward with my life while maintaining my dignity. This experience taught me several valuable lessons. First and foremost, it reinforced the importance of self-respect and resilience. When faced with betrayal and adversity, it's essential to stand your ground and fight for what's right. Second, it reminded me that truth has a way of prevailing, even in the face of deceit. While this chapter of my life was undoubtedly painful, it also marked a turning point. It gave me the opportunity to rebuild my life on a foundation of honesty and authenticity. Today, I am stronger and more self-aware than ever before. To anyone who finds themselves in a similar situation, my advice is this: stay calm, gather evidence, and seek professional support, whether from legal experts or trusted friends and family. Do not let anger or despair cloud your judgment. Instead, focus on protecting yourself and ensuring that justice prevails. Betrayal may leave scars, but it does not define you. In the face of adversity, you have the power to rise above and emerge stronger than ever.
Marriage, the sacred union where two souls come together, promising to love, honor, and occasionally argue about who left the cap off the toothpaste. I thought I had this whole happily ever after thing figured out. Spoiler alert, I didn't. Let me set the scene. Picture a guy, yours truly, who believed he was living the dream. A cozy home, a decent job, and a wife who, unbeknownst to me, was auditioning for the lead role in How to Get Away with Infidelity. Turns out my wife had been cozying up to her colleague while I was busy being the unsuspecting husband of the year. Plot twist, she was also secretly planning to divorce me. Honestly, if this were a Netflix drama, it'd be trending in the top 10 by now. Now, before you grab the popcorn, let me clarify something. I didn't see it coming. Sure, there were tiny red flags, like how she suddenly became too busy for date nights, or how her phone became permanently glued to her hand like it held the nuclear codes. But I chalked it up to work stress. Little did I know her work stress had a name, a face, and apparently a penchant for ruining marriages. One day I stumbled upon her not-so-secret plans. And by stumbled, I mean I accidentally saw a text notification pop up on her phone while she was in the shower. It read something like, "Can't wait until this is all behind us." My first thought, wow, she's really excited about finishing her taxes. My second thought, wait a minute, taxes don't involve secret rendezvous at fancy restaurants. Cue my Sherlock Holmes moment. I started piecing things together. Late-night meetings that didn't add up, her sudden obsession with looking like she stepped out of a fashion magazine for work, and her increasingly distant behavior. The final nail in the coffin, a poorly hidden folder on her laptop labeled divorce plans. Subtlety was clearly not her strong suit. Now you might think I'd go full-on dramatic, confront her with tears streaming down my face, or flip a table like a real housewife. But no, I decided to handle this with the grace and wit of someone who just discovered their life is a bad rom-com. My approach? Humor. Because if you can't laugh at your crumbling marriage, what can you laugh at? I casually brought it up over dinner. So, I said between bites of spaghetti. When were you planning to tell me about your extracurricular activities? The look on her face? Priceless. If guilt were a facial expression, she nailed it. She tried denying it at first, classic move, but eventually admitted everything. The affair, the divorce plans, the whole soap opera. Her reasoning. We've grown apart. Ah, yes, because nothing says fixing distance in a relationship like inviting someone else into it. But here's where it gets interesting. Instead of wallowing in self-pity or begging her to stay, spoiler, I didn't. I decided to flip the script. If she wanted out of this marriage so badly, who was I to stop her? After all, life is too short to be someone's backup plan. So we had an honest conversation, or as honest as you can be after discovering your spouse has been moonlighting as a cheater, and agreed to part ways. She moved out shortly after, presumably to start her new life with Mr. Colleague. As for me, let's just say I've been thriving in my newfound freedom. Sure, there were tough moments, like explaining the situation to friends and family without sounding like the punchline of a bad joke, or realizing that all those couples' photos on social media now serve as relics of what could have been. But honestly, it's been liberating. I've rediscovered hobbies that had been collecting dust, hello, guitar lessons, reconnected with old friends, turns out they missed me, and even started dating again, awkward first dates included. Most importantly, I've learned that being single isn't a curse. It's an opportunity to focus on myself and figure out what truly makes me happy. Looking back, I can almost thank her for this plot twist. Almost. Because while it wasn't exactly the fairy tale ending I envisioned when we said, I do, it's led me to a better chapter in my life, one where I'm the main character instead of just an unsuspecting sidekick. So here's my advice for anyone going through something similar. When life throws you curveballs, or in my case, divorce papers, don't let it knock you down for long. Embrace the chaos, find the humor in it, and remember that every ending is just a new beginning in disguise. And who knows? Maybe one day I'll write a book about this wild ride. Working title, How My Wife Cheated and Accidentally Helped Me Find Myself. Catchy, right?